The chair is authorized to declare a recess of the committee at any time. As a reminder, members participating in a hearing remotely should be visible on camera throughout the meeting. And as with in-person meetings, members are responsible for controlling their own microphones. Members can be muted by staff only to avoid inadvertent background noise. In addition, statements, documents, or motions must be submitted to the electronic repository immediately upon introduction to sccc.repository@mail.house.gov for circulation to committee members. Finally, members or witnesses experiencing technical problems should inform committee staff immediately. I now recognize myself for 5 minutes to give an opening statement. Well, good morning, everyone. I'm thrilled to welcome you to the organizational meeting of the House Select Committee on the Climate Crisis, our first in the 117th Congress. I'd like to express my gratitude to Speaker Pelosi for her deep commitment to solving the climate crisis and for allowing the Select Committee to continue building on our work for the American people. Last year, our Select Committee Democratic members released a comprehensive set of recommendations for the Congress. In a staff report entitled Solving the Climate Crisis, the Congressional Action Plan for a Clean Energy Economy and a Healthy, Resilient, and Just America, where we highlighted bills, including bipartisan bills, to the standing committees. This plan would put the United States on a path to net zero by 2050 or earlier. It would create much needed jobs in clean energy, infrastructure, conservation, manufacturing, construction, and other important industries. It would protect millions of families and small businesses from costly climate-fueled risks and harms, and it would advance environmental justice for Black, Brown, Native, and low-income Americans. Our Climate Crisis Action Plan has been described as the most detailed and well-thought-out plan for addressing climate change that has ever been part of U.S. politics. Now, the work ahead of us is clear. We must waste no time in turning our recommendations into policy. Families across America have given us this strong mandate to act on climate, and younger generations are watching. They know their futures hang in the balance. Our sole item of business today, before we consider the committee rules, will be to talk about our jurisdiction, and then we'll take a moment to introduce our Democratic members, and then I'll give Ranking Member Graves an opportunity to give an opening statement and introduce our Republican members. So first on our jurisdiction, it's simple, it's pretty straightforward. According to House Resolution 8, our Select Committee will have investigative jurisdiction over policies, strategies, and innovations to achieve substantial and permanent reductions in pollution and other activities that contribute to the climate crisis. It's my hope that our Select Committee will continue to be a forum to advance important solutions for the American people, to find common ground, to follow the science, and to approach our differences constructively. Now I'd like to introduce our fabulous Democratic members, and at the end I'm going to give our new member, Rep. Escobar, an opportunity to introduce herself to the committee. So Democratic members include Suzanne Bonamici from Oregon. She serves on the Science Committee, where she is leading the fight for ocean climate action, and she serves on the Committee on Education and Labor. Rep. Julia Brownlee from California. She serves on the Committee on Transportation and Infrastructure, where she is pushing for cleaner public transit systems and expanding our use of zero-emission vehicles. And Rep. Brownlee also serves on the Veterans Affairs Committee. Rep. Jared Huffman of California. He's the chair of the Water, Ocean, and Wildlife Subcommittee in the House Natural Resources Committee, where he is a strong champion for public lands and waters. He serves as well on the Transportation and Infrastructure Committee. Rep. Don McEachin of Virginia serves on the Energy and Commerce Committee, where he has led the charge on securing environmental justice for all. He also serves on the Natural Resources Committee. Congressman Mike Levin of California serves on the Natural Resources Committee, where he works to advance safeguards against droughts, heat waves, and rising sea levels. Rep. Levin also is a member of the Veterans Affairs Committee. Rep. Sean Caston of Illinois serves on the Financial Services Committee, where he is working to reduce climate risk in the financial sector. He also serves on the Science and Technology Committee. Rep. Joe Neguse of Colorado is the chair of the Subcommittee on National Parks, Forests, and Public Lands in the Natural Resources Committee, where he advances protections for his communities from climate-fueled wildfires and much more. Rep. Neguse also serves on the Judiciary Committee. And we're so pleased to welcome our newest Democratic member, Congresswoman Veronica Escobar of Texas. She is a member of the Armed Services Committee, where she is working to ensure that our military stands ready to face the climate crisis. And she has long championed economic opportunities in clean energy. She also serves on the Judiciary Committee. Rep. Escobar, as the newest Democratic member of the Select Committee, welcome. We're thrilled to have you along with our two Republican members. Please take a minute to introduce yourself to the committee, and the floor is yours.
Thank you so much, Madam Chair, and apologies for being a few minutes late at the top of the meeting. You know, the only thing that I would add is it really is an honor to serve on this committee, and I truly do hope that we are able to work together to address some of the greatest challenges that our communities face, our globe faces, our military installations. And as the member from the border, from El Paso, Texas, I can tell you so many of the families that I talk to who are arriving at our front door from Central America are fleeing the ravages of the climate crisis. You know, they don't talk about it in that way, but they talk about food insecurity. They talk about being unable to farm on their land. They talk about the impact of hurricanes and natural disasters. So I think over the long term, the work that we do will not just help create a greater planet, but it will create stability for people in their home countries. And so really looking forward to the work ahead with everyone. I yield back.
Thank you, Rep. Escobar, and welcome again. Now I'd like to give Ranking Member Graves the opportunity to provide some opening remarks and introduce the Republican side of the aisle, including our two new Republican members. Ranking Member Graves?
Thanks.
You're recognized.
Hey, Madam Chair, thank you. Welcome everyone to the committee. Really excited to get back to work as quickly as possible, and I hope that we're able to actually get together and meet in person very soon so we can begin addressing some of the very important issues that are in front of us. The climate issue has always been very important, but I think some of the recent actions by this administration, executive orders, and others have had a significant impact on our energy industry, and whether that's renewable energy or conventional fuels, had a significant impact on our energy industry, on energy prices in a very short period of time, which makes this issue even more urgent. Madam Chair, as you know, we have discussed in the past that all of us are committed to an American-based clean energy future. And it's important that as we move forward, we come up with informed policies that are based upon science, based upon evidence, based upon data, and perhaps building upon some of the successes that the United States has been able to achieve in being the largest emissions reducing country in the world. As a matter of fact, President Obama had established the Clean Power Plan, which was intended to reduce emissions by 32% from the 2005 baseline. And we were supposed to hit that target, according to the Clean Power Plan, by 2030. And even during the Trump administration, which of course perception perhaps was very different, we hit that 2030 target in 2019. And Madam Chair, we did that without the mandates, without restrictions, without coming in and trying to pick energy technology winners and losers. We did it by letting the market do what it does, and again, just blew away some of these targets. Madam Chair, you and I, and I hope I'm not disclosing a private conversation, but we had a great conversation yesterday talking about areas where we can work together and cooperate. Areas like resiliency and adaptation, we both represent important coastal communities in this nation. Areas like ensuring that our research and development strategy complies or is based upon America's resources and some of the opportunities before us to continue reducing emissions and ensure affordable, exportable energy, clean energy solutions. talking about energy efficiency and conservation and building upon some of the successes. And so I'm very hopeful that we can move forward again in an evidence-based direction, in a bipartisan direction that truly yields the best American-based clean energy future that we can have. Madam Chair, we have a number of returning rock stars on our side as well. I'm really looking forward to working with a number of your members that I'm very close with. We have our Republican policy chairman, Gary Palmer from Alabama, who's back. We have our pharmacist, Buddy Cotter from Georgia, who likes to remind folks that he represents the entire coast of Georgia, and that Georgia has they're in the top 50 in terms of timber producing states in the United States, and they have the third largest St. Patrick's Day parade in Georgia. Sorry. We have Congressman Kelly Armstrong from North Dakota that has extensive energy background, particularly on the natural gas side, and has just been a wealth of knowledge for the committee. We have Carol Miller from West Virginia, who once again, coming from a coal state, a mining state, is really the face of this kind of energy future and how we do it in a way that's very sensitive to the needs of our communities across the United States. And again, we ensure an energy policy based upon our resources here in America. Madam Chair, we also have two new members that I'm very excited to welcome to the committee. We have Congressman Anthony Gonzalez from Ohio, and Congressman Gonzalez has a extensive background, not just in professional sports, but also in business and technology. And Congressman, and by the way, Ohio is once again one of those states that has been fueling America's energy revolution. And last but not least, we have Congressman Dan Crenshaw from Texas that once again not just brings the Texas, which one of our biggest energy producing states in America, not just brings that perspective to the table, but also, very importantly, Madam Chair, brings a national security perspective to the table, which I think is really important as we think about our energy future. So with that, I assume it's okay to yield to them for quick introductions.
Please do.
Congressman Gonzalez.
Sure, I'll be very quick. So great to be on this select committee. Great to work with everybody on both sides, Republican and Democrat. As Garrett said, I'm from Northeast Ohio, and while admittedly the climate situation is not one that is top of mind for most of my constituents, reliable and affordable energy certainly is, and so is having an economy where everybody has an opportunity to succeed, no matter what your skill level is. And so the way that I have come into the climate debate is by focusing a lot on Lake Erie, which is right in my backyard, where we've had rising water levels. We've had increased flooding from when I was a child. We had almost no flooding, whereas now I get flooded at least 3 or 4 times a year, and everybody sort of notices that. And so the perspective I'll bring to this debate is one that focuses on understanding the trade-offs between our economic security and our climate goals, and also being a big proponent of finding and facilitating the R&D discoveries that are going to help power us through this. So again, thank you all for having me. It's great to be with everybody, and I'll yield back.
Congressman Crenshaw.
Thank you. Thanks for having me here. It's an honor to be a part of this. It's such an important issue. It's an important issue to get right. The solutions are what I'm after. And last Congress, I was able to pass two bipartisan bills, Leading Act and the New Energy Frontier, both associated with carbon capture and carbon utilization. I'm going to be hitting on a few themes. One, always talking about the trade-offs and the costs and the benefits. Over and over and over again, I see too often that there's a preferred solution and then the tendency when you have a preferred solution is to exaggerate the benefits of that solution and diminish the costs associated with it. This should be our focus. What works and what doesn't? What has worked in the past, both in the United States and in other countries, and what has not? We talk about energy, or we talk about environmental justice all the time. I'm going to talk to you about energy justice and what that means to people trying to get out of poverty, people who can't afford higher electric bills, people who want reliable energy when it gets cold or hot. This has to be part of the discussion, and in many cases it hasn't been. So really happy to be part of this and be solutions oriented for things that will work to solve this problem. Thank you for having me.
All right, well, welcome Rep. Escobar, Rep. Gonzalez, Rep. Crenshaw. We're thrilled that you all have joined the Climate Committee. We're going to have some great debates, and we do intend to be solutions oriented. And I hope, if you haven't had an opportunity to review our climate action plan that was released last year, I encourage you to do it. There are a lot of good bipartisan solutions in there, and we need to build bipartisan support to press ahead. So now we'll move to our first order of business, the consideration and adoption of the Select Committee's rules for the 117th Congress. I ask for unanimous consent that the proposed rules be considered read and open for amendment at any point. The proposed rules were circulated electronically to members on Tuesday morning and again yesterday. The proposed rules include technical and conforming changes to the rules that the Select Committee adopted last Congress. So I wonder if we have any proposed amendments. Without objection, the further reading. Okay, let's see. No amendments? Great.
Madam Chair.
Rep. Graves, you're recognized.
Thank you. Madam Chair, as you and I discussed this, and I told you that we were okay with the rules package. I have one request in the truth and testimony section, which is B3. I understand that this is one of the greatest revisions in the rules, and it's my understanding that this was done in order to comply with revisions in House rules related to truth and testimony, and obviously those things need to be aligned. One of our members brought up an issue this morning, and I just want to ask if it would be okay if our staffs can get together to work to reconcile this. The intention of these revisions are to ensure that we have full disclosure of any foreign agents or foreign interests that are testifying or operating before the committee, which certainly makes sense. As we know, some countries operate through surrogates, and we have seen that some companies have, some countries use companies or not-for-profits and others to convey their message and effectively operate in a subversive manner. And in reading this, it's clearly the intent to capture those sorts of folks that may not be fully transparent in their background or their motives. And I just wanted to ask if it would be okay if our staffs could take a fresh look at this provision and just ensure that it would capture anyone that is operating on behalf of a foreign government, but perhaps doing it through a surrogate like a company or something along those lines.
Yeah, I appreciate that. And I know Rep. Palmer had raised a question on that account. So first of all, thank you for reading the rules and thinking them through. The changes relating to that section reflect the changes to the House rules. So we like to keep in sync with the House rules so to avoid confusion. But I get your point. So we will, our staff can discuss and talk about this. And if we need to go back to the Rules Committee and have some clarification, we can do that. I will also give the bipartisan staff the ability to make any technical changes and bring them back to us if we need to do that.
Thank you, Madam Chair. If my Wi-Fi wasn't out and Netflix didn't work, I'm not sure what it read, but no, thank you.
Okay, any other questions or comments or proposed amendments? Seeing none, the question is now on the adoption of the rules. All those in favor say aye.
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 Those opposed say no. In the opinion of the chair, the ayes have it. The rules are adopted, and without objection, the motion to reconsider is laid upon the table. I now ask for unanimous consent that the staff be allowed to make any technical and conforming changes to the rules subject to approval of the minority. Hearing no objections, it's so ordered. And guess what? We have no further business. I'd like to thank everyone for attending today's meeting. I look forward to a productive year ahead. We're going to be developing a number of upcoming hearings. If you all have, we welcome any input from all members of the committee, so please don't hesitate to pass those along. Again, welcome to our new members. Thank you all for helping us go through this organizational meeting in a very smooth way. And without objection, this meeting is adjourned. Thanks, everybody.
Madam Chair, before we adjourn, can I make one comment?
Rep. Caston, you're recognized.
So this is a comment mostly to my Democratic members. Our illustrious chair, as some of you may not aware, is also the chair of the Congressional Soccer Caucus. And with the addition of Reps. Gonzalez and Crenshaw, I believe that we now have, maybe with the exception of Rep. LaHood, all of the Republican players on the congressional soccer team last year. We have the coach on our side and myself. And so to my Democratic colleagues, we need to beef up the squad, and I would encourage you to join the Congressional Soccer Caucus and play once we get to a COVID point again, because there's far too much leaning to one side of the aisle in this.
You don't want to see me playing soccer, Sean, but if we ever have a tennis match, or if anyone wants to play volleyball, we'll talk.
I think it was myself and Rick Larson and a lot of much younger staff on the Democratic side last year. So our Republicans are doing a better job at getting the old creaky knees out on the field, and I think we have an obligation to match their exuberance.
Well, you know what, Congressman Caston, I left 2 ligaments on the field, so if you'll see those, I could
Yes,
use them.
that's right.
Well, and as the representative of,
I'm going to man up on you.
I represent Nike, and they typically sponsor, and so I'm getting pretty good at the coin toss, but I don't think you'll see me doing much else on the field. May the best team win.
Excellent. Okay, thanks, everybody. Without objection, the meeting is adjourned. Have a great weekend.
Thank you. I'll take care.
Thank you.